All right, we are live, and the New York Mets have a whole lot of fucking shit to fix right now. A whole lot of shit to fix. We are going to do, as we promised on Monday's episode, we're going to do like a little mini last recap of the 2022 season, the 100-win season, the disappointing 2022 season, and then we're going to look ahead and do a little off-season preview, wish list, whatever you want to call it. Right now, I got my boys Phil and Kyle with me. Kevin's going to hop on in a sec. He's currently interviewing Rico Bosco for KFC Radio, so I'm sure that's going to be a must-listen experience because as someone that is looking at the blog, Rico is on one right now. Rico's a Mets fan too, so I'm sure he's going through all the same emotions we are. So we're going to do that. So before we get the episode started, we're going to chill out a little bit because before we went live, I'm just losing my mind every time I turn on the TV and either the Yankees are playing, the Phillies and the Braves are playing. Last night, the Dodgers lost, and I'm just like, why can't we be there? Why can't we have fun? Why can't we enjoy playoff baseball? So I'm going to chill because fall doesn't have to be the end of your summer chill. Fall's the end of my summer baseball season because that's what the Mets do. However, Coors Light is there to help you find moments to unwind. So whenever you need to hit reset because your team just decided to gag the last week of the season away, reach for a Coors Light. It's made to chill. If you are in need of chill fall vibes, I'm going to throw some positive vibes out there only, even though my yard is nothing but leaves right now. You got to get yourself a Coors Light. College football, Halloween costume parties, chilling on the deck, anything you need except for playoff baseball because we are not watching that for the rest of the season. You got to get yourself a Coors Light. Literally the beer that's made to chill. It will be the beer that will be there at the parade next year now with Punch and Cake. So Coors Light is the one when I choose. I choose when I need to unwind. Get Coors Light and the new look delivered straight to your door with Drizly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. We got our boy KFC there. I heard, Hurricane Rico came and went?
Yep. In and out, Rico Bosco, 30 minutes. Let's go.
I was telling the boys here that I watched a little of the Yankee game. I've watched a couple of the Phillies innings, and then I saw the Dodgers lost last night, and that just kind of just makes me lose my mind because I'm like, I'm just so mad we're not there, but I'm gonna remain positive. I'm gonna remain calm. I watched Hall & Oates videos last night, and I was mad the entire time. It's, you know how hard it is to get mad listening to Hall & Oates? It's like the most peaceful music on the planet, and I was just seething the entire time. So
you missed it for literally nothing.
Nothing. So a little programming note as well. Like I said, we're going to do a little recap of the season. One last recap. I believe, let me get the name of the guy who tweeted this out. Trey Lindor 20 put out these Mets accolades, kind of like a senior superlatives list. And we're going to just put ours because I thought it was a great list just to kind of go over, remember the good times of 2022 because we've been living through the bad times recently. We'll do a little preview of the free agency market because Uncle Stevie is still here with his gobs and gobs of money. I, in the weirdest coincidences in the world, have Robbie Fox got asked if he wants to interview John Hall of Hall & Oates, which is going to
believe that. That's just by chance.
So it's by chance. It was supposed to be last week. The interview got moved back to this week. Got moved back to today. This podcast got moved from 11 to 11:30. So now it's bleeding right into the interview with Hall & Oates.
By the way, go. I didn't realize that. If it's happening right now, go.
No. It starts at 12. So we have a half hour to go. And I said to Kyle and Phil, I said, I think like this is God telling me you have to be in the same digital room as John Hall at some point. Like I'm starting to feel like, if you build it, he will come. Like this is my destiny. I don't know what it's going to do. If he's going to be the one to convince Jacob deGrom to come back.
Something's happening here.
Yeah. There's something bigger than me. I was supposed to be at that concert. If I had gone and ditched you guys for that instead of having Frank scream at me for 3 hours, it would have happened. I can't let fate pass me by twice.
Right.
So I will leave. I don't really have much to ask. I barely know anything about music. All I know about Hall & Oates is that I fucking love them.
Tell them the story. He'll love it.
Yes, I will. Exactly. So he was born in New York, but he also grew up in Philly. So there's also a chance he's be like, oh yeah, I loved watching your collapse. It fucking got me up.
These guys aren't baseball nerds like we are. They're fucking rock stars, man. They don't even give a shit about baseball.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
Your life is awesome. You don't give a fuck about baseball. You don't give a fuck about sports. You're like, I don't need these other people to make me happy. I'm happy with my life because I'm rich and I'm awesome.
Yeah. Everywhere you go, they're like, man, I love Private Eyes. I love, this and that. So I don't know why. I just feel like I have to be there. And I can, like, the fact that this is lined up twice. I bought those tickets 6 months earlier, and now this thing has been pushed back to the exact time. So anyway, long-winded rant. I don't want to miss any more time. we want to start off with our 2022 accolades of the season here before we move on to the 2023 free agency market. This was from, again, Trey Lindor 20 on Twitter. It was a great list. MVP of the 2022 season, boys. Who do you guys have as your MVP for the New York Metropolitans?
That's a great question. I actually think there's a few. If I had to give you like the running, like the, let's say the
top three, like bronze, silver, gold.
Well, it's tough. I mean, the bats to me would be Lindor, Pete, and McNeil. I think though that when a team is built on pitching, as it was, it's like you have to include a pitcher. But which one is it? It's not DeGrom. It's Max to some extent because he's Scherzer, but
he missed months at a time too. You know,
so it's like it's almost like the pitching staff, but you can't do that. So I think if I'm going to single out a player, I'll give it to Lindor. It was the bounce back year. It's the most impressive year and the most impressive position. Part of me wants to give it to Pete because he was, I think, he's right there as well. But given the circumstances and what he needed to do and how he needed to prove it and all that, I'm giving it to Lindor. But it is weird because I would say that the most important part of this team is pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I also can't single out one guy. So
that's how you know the team was good.
No,
it's like people, and you're like, well, they could all really be MVP.
Right. I say Lindor, but then at the end of the year, when I was watching everybody else, and the only fucking guy who was a fucking G to the very end was Jeff McNeil. And I think that like Lindor just gets it because he was just a higher quality player. He's just a more talented guy. But goddamn, if Jeff McNeil wasn't the fucking, grittiest gamer, never give up except for that fucking ball you didn't run out for some reason in the playoffs type of guy. So like he's like my internal MVP, and then my like external MVP to the rest of the league is Lindor. I don't know. It's a hard. Do you guys agree? It's a very weird.
I had Alonso because he had the most RBIs in a single season for the Mets ever, and back-to-back 40 home run seasons, and he's the only Met to do that in general, let alone letting it being back-to-back. And then he had 7 game-winning RBIs out of that 130. Like he single-handedly won them.
He had like 7 like walk-offs. He had like 30 game-winning RBIs. Sure. You count earlier in the game.
Yeah. So I think you got to go with the guy that there's a reason why he's on everybody's mind when it comes up, and it's because he's like the no doubt guy that gets overlooked now after like 3.5 seasons of like the most home runs ever hit to start your career.
Yeah, I had Alonso too, but it's for all this. Like, how many times do you come through like clutch late in the games? However, I've changed my pick after hearing you guys, and I want to kind of mix it up in the graphic. Who do you got, Phil?
I'd probably give it to Lindor just because I think he did need to prove himself in a way, whereas Pete's basically had the same season almost every year. Like, he's going to have 40-plus homers. He's going to drive in over 100. Lindor did need to prove he can play as a Met this year, and he did.
Yep.
There is a comeback player, which I was like toying with Lindor, and I'm like, that's just a slap in the face because he can come back from anything.
Yeah. So I was gonna actually, after hearing Kevin's discussion, I was actually gonna say Jeremy Hefner. We get a little cute with it. We throw a pitching coach on there. However, I will yield to the chat, who is very much saying Edwin Diaz. Fuck it, let's go Edwin Diaz, because you know what? I knew the games were gonna be over at the end of the games, and I knew that he was gonna I knew like how many games did he like save, but then those 10th inning runner on second, it was like, oh no, we're gonna win these because they will just get out of the inning. So I'll give it to Diaz then.
I'm so mad at myself. That is despicable. I'm like the one thing I've always wanted was a closer, and I finally got it. And when you think about the value of that, like, you know what? Honestly, I said this last episode. We didn't have like any blown saves. And that's the difference between 101, like the way that we won all those series, the way that we had never any prolonged losing streaks, the way that we got to 101 is that we didn't have like 10 blown saves from our closer. So honestly, that's like, I know this is not how the statistic works, but I love to make up my own like KFC war. Like he had a 10 war in my mind. He gave us 10 games that we would have lost. Those go to Diaz. And yet he's probably the number one guy I can single out. I can't believe that didn't jump into my mind. I guess it just goes to show how much relief pitching still is, the forgotten like redheaded stepchild But yeah, Diaz is for sure.
And he was just so automatic. And then, to be honest, like, we didn't see him for the last month. So that could also weigh into it. I forgot he was on the team half the fucking time.
Isn't it weird that, like, if you asked me what the number one, like, reason why the Mets were there, they got stellar pitching. But it was from a bunch of guys who, like, passed the baton. I got hurt. You picked it up. He fell off. I picked up first half, second half, like, blah, blah, blah. So it's like an amoeba.
Yeah,
Fuck,
that's a good way to put it. Unsung hero. This one's going to get interesting here. I think there's a lot of ways it can go. I think a lot of ways. I guess I'll put Hefner here. I feel like a lot of people are going to say, I won't say the name. I'll let people say it, but I feel like someone's going to say a pitcher that kind of filled all the roles. But I'll just throw Hefner here because I could have given him MVP, but I want to get him somewhere on the graphic.
Well, I think you were alluding to Trevor Williams.
Yes.
Yeah. Unsung hero is an interesting way to put it. That's kind of like, guy.
He was sung. That's the thing, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit backhanded. It's a little bit like you're not that great, but you did your job sort of thing. But I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna go. You guys go. I got a couple things I got to think out.
All right. Mine is Mark Canha. And like you just said, it's kind of a backhanded compliment, but it's like out of every acquisition, even before the season started, nobody talked about Mark Canha at all. They were just like, oh, there's that guy that we got from Oakland. But look who we got. We got Starling Marte and all this other stuff. He had 140 games that he played in. So we always talk about like the model of consistency. Like that dude came out and you knew you were getting professional at-bats every single time. He hit 266, drove in like 61, something like that. He's the guy that you never had to think about and was just always plugged into the lineup. And the only time you actually realized he wasn't in the lineup was when it was like, why the hell are we playing Tyler Naquin? Like, we have Mark Canha. So he's the guy who, like, you just knew he was going to be in the lineup every single day, and you knew he wasn't going to fuck anything up.
And he was elite in terms of memeability. Like, he wanted to just make jokes about Canha, Mark Canha Summer, the face of him, Canha whoop ass, all that stuff. Definitely an unsung hero in that regard. Who do you got, Phil?
I may go with David Peterson because back when Max got injured in May, it wasn't really Bassett, Cookie. Walker did like have a good job in that role too, but like it was really just David Peterson and Trevor Williams that kept them afloat in June to where.
We lost.
Nope.
Muted. We lost. And the thing about Peterson too is if he had one bad start, it was like, I'm telling you, it's because he kind of looks like Steven Matz. Be like, this fucking guy, he sucked forever. It's like, no. That was a different whole picture.
Yeah.
He came in for that released appearance, got hit hard. He wasn't perfect, but he was
all those guys.
Good,
we got so spoiled so quick. Because to me, it was like we got DeGrom and Max, and then I don't know, we'll see what happens, right? And then we lost both those guys, and right away was like we had these 3 or 4 pitchers who all like stepped up, and we just got used to the fact that like McGill and Peterson and those guys were throwing out quality starts every turn through the rotation. I kept being like, this is the week that the wheels come off for the starting rotation, and just never fucking did. Yep. I'm gonna go. First of all, I have like 3 things in my mind. One, hero is a tough term, but I think when it's all said and done, Eduardo Escobar did more. If he didn't get as much heat as he got, like he should have just been a player that was left alone. And I wish we got, as a fan base, we got to the point where it's like, this guy is a third baseman. He's making like meh money. So there really shouldn't be like these crazy standards. And considering how hot he got at times, like he carried us at points and was winning games for us at points. And so I don't think he's a hero, but I just think he deserved more respect. My unsung hero in the general, like the general terms of that phrase, I think would be Luis Guillorme. I think he was that guy. He kind of fell off after that injury. I think if he didn't get injured and he kept going with that year, he would have been he would have won that utility Gold Glove award and all that shit. But the real one, I don't think the guy who got enough credit until he was gone was Starling Marte. As much as people were like, Marte is great, I still think he was underrated. I still think that when everyone was talking about Lindor and Pete or even Jeff winning the batting title, it was like one of the most important motherfuckers out there, Starling Marte.
Yeah, hard to argue with that, as we could fucking see from the last goddamn.
He was sung, but like I just don't think enough.
Sung louder. We should have sung his praises even louder. Next up, comeback player of the year. I'm gonna kind of just piggyback off what Kev just said. I had a few. I think Lindor, it feels backhanded, and especially because we were saying he was good last year when he was batting like 200. So I'm gonna say September Eduardo Escobar. Like you can cheat during these things. You can cheat as much as you guys want.
We're just talking shop here.
We just talk, yeah. So these are the awards. I don't know if we went through them, but it's MVP, Unsung Hero, Comeback Player of the Year, Biggest Bust, Woat, Rookie of the Year, Most Surprising Back Acquisition, Comeback Player of the Year. Eduardo Escobar in September carried us, became beloved, had the Eduardo Escobar game, arigato. We had the whole fucking thing. And if that goddamn weekend in Atlanta never happens, that's like the end. Like that's the biggest highlight going into the playoffs is how Eduardo Escobar basically won us the division on some magical night in Queens. So I got a September Escobar. Well, Kev, we'll throw it around the table. I can tell you.
Where can I find the list? Because I want to see I don't want to say something for another.
It's in the email.
Okay.
I'll go with Jeff McNeil.
There's also Cy Young, which I added after the fact.
Yeah.
I'll go with Jeff McNeil just because he was a meh hitter last year and he literally won the batting title this year. So I don't think you can come back.
That is a great call, Phil.
Yeah.
Great call. Kyle, who do you got?
Jacob deGrom, only because he threw 11, and he didn't live up to like his standards of being Jacob deGrom. But you have to remember, it was a year and a half that he hadn't played baseball, and we thought we were going to get the corpse of Jacob deGrom, and he's still throwing 98 to 102, and the fan base is chopping at the bit to lock him up forever. So like just the fact that first of all, he won us the only playoff game, whatever you want to call the wild card series.
Yep.
And yes, he did stumble out of the down the line. But he came out pumping. Everybody was so excited. He was like the best pitcher in the league again for the next 5 weeks. And then he kind of fell off. But I think overall, we saw what we needed to lock him up, hopefully forever.
I'll go with Nimmo. I feel like stayed healthy and became that everyday leadoff and was one of those guys. If he had a 10-pitch at bat to lead off the game and got walked or hit by a pitch or slapped a single, like we were scoring that inning and we were winning that game 90% of the time. I was always kind of an anti-Nimmo guy. We'll see what numbers get thrown around for the offseason, but this was the year I finally I acquiesce. I give up. Nimmo is the real deal.
Yep. And going back to that last one, what was it? The comeback or Unsung Hero from before. Even though he got hurt, there was a time where McGill really did help us out a ton during that first month. That opening day in general, he came out, he shoved, and it was all right, no Jake, we'll be okay.
God, I really hope that he's okay after that. Whatever came back from that injury was not the same dude. It would be very cool if he was a piece of this rotation going forward.
Yeah. Next up, biggest bust. Should we just say it all at the same time? Or
I have one that I think might be different.
I think Woat and biggest bust are going to have two names. It's just a matter of where you put them, basically. So I'm Darren Ruff. Anyone else Darren Ruff?
Yeah, Darren Ruff.
You had to do one fucking job. Hit left-handed pitching. One fucking job, once a week out of fucking 6 days. If you do one thing, hit the lefty on the mound for 2 innings. That's how long they go. And then the bullpen's here. That's just the way baseball is. And you couldn't fucking do it. Darren Ruff, you're going to I know you're going to hit next year, and it's probably not going to be here, and it's only going to make me even madder. So I'm preemptively mad for what you do next year, likely in fucking Atlanta, because let's be honest.
Yeah.
I figured everyone was going to pick Ruff. Did you pick Ruff too?
I did not.
Okay. My biggest bust is the DH spot. The lineup in the spot.
I like that.
Dom Smith, JD Davis. No disrespect to Vogie because he gave us some great moments. He had a decent run. Fucking Naquin. How many more people can you put into one spot?
You're not meant to have it.
It's absurd. And it was also because we were the only team that we thought was set in the National League. Of we're built for the
too many players.
And they fucking sucked.
If we have first basemen, let's play Pete, let's play Dom, let's play JD, whatever. An embarrassment of riches. No.
Pete was our best DH. He guys got 5 home runs in that spot. But everybody else hit 75.
That is a great call. We said it, I said, the New York Metropolitans were born as a National League team, and we spit in their face by, we should have just said, no, thank you to the DH. It's a cursed position. We were batting the DH 8th in the playoffs, other than our dead catcher spot.
Just bat the pitcher. Just pretend it doesn't exist. Bat the pitcher.
It's how you have a hitter that is just designated to do only that, and there's no way he should be, because every other player, it's he has the field, so he could have weaknesses that will bump him down in the lineup in terms of hitting. And no, we had a guy who was designated to do the job, and he still was batting 8th in our lineup.
Fucking Cano.
Cano.
That's like a lifetime
Oh
ago.
my God.
That is the biggest bust.
Who you got for bust, Meek?
Oh, I said Darren Ruff.
Okay. I have two. I hate to say it. I think it's Max Scherzer.
Ooh.
Like, it not in the sense of what he did in the regular season, but like what we got you to do, you didn't do, you know? And that's a harsh, I wouldn't call, like, I don't want to call it a bust, but like, if you think about what was the biggest bust of the year was the pitching down the stretch and where we ended up in that final series and then the wild card round. What was the bust? It was the starting pitching. And like, who was the guy that, you know, was supposed to be the fucking nails gamer? I also want to, also, I love Max and like he was the reason why we were there and 101 wins and there's so many great moments with him as well. So I will also just say the trade deadline, the entire deadline. Looking back on it, it was a little more hindsight. I did defend Epler. I'm kind of okay with it, but man, in hindsight, failing as much as we did, it's like we should have gone for broke, man.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. The Scherzer one, it's like he made $43 million this year. It's like, listen, Stevie paid you $20 million for the pitch during the regular season, which especially when you consider the injuries, whatever. That extra $23 million or whatever, that was for that one start. Or
Yes.
2 starts, the one in Atlanta and that one, and 0 for 2 on those. Big 0 for 2s.
And Max is enough of a gamer to where, like, if you said that to him, he'd probably agree. He'd be like,
Yeah, I
was
mean,
the
he'll
bust.
tell you straight up he was the bust. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. You're fair, dog. It's fair. I don't know why I've had that Mike Francesa line in my head, but it's been in my head for the whole fucking week. Maybe because, like, now that the Mets are bad again, Mike Francesa's voice is back in my head. Another winter of discontent in flesh. The Woat, which, again,
We're all saying
anybody-
James McCann.
That's there.
I mean, I want to throw out some most honorable mentions. The fact that Cano was on this team, it boggles the mind. So you got to throw him out. Darren Ruff is up there for Woat. It's McCann. It's McCann. There's no other. I was
I had to
trying
look at his final stats just to make sure. I was rooting against him passing the Mendoza line. He finished at 195. So fuck you and get off my team.
Do we give him a pass for getting on base twice in the game where we were all freaking out that he was in the lineup, even though it was a walk and a hit by pitch? I almost want to give him not even a pass. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is McCann.
rough.
That was rough.
Get
Yeah,
in
that's
the
rough.
game.
That's
McCann
rough.
was 195. Yeah.
And also, by the way, we were all like screaming that Nito needs to be the starting catcher. James McCann only played in 61 games because he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
I wish he wasn't healthy.
He is the worst of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
He couldn't stay healthy. He stayed too healthy. 61 games is too much.
Too much. Yeah.
Somebody listed the Woat as Mets fans, and honestly, I think that was a fair shot at some Mets fans. Not all Mets fans, obviously, and the Mets fans who are like skeptical about the team all year, but the people who bitched and moaned about a team that won 101 games, unless you said, listen, Max and Jake aren't, I could just see it in their eyes. They're not going to come up short. If you didn't enjoy this year, like you said, Kev, next year is going to be quite a
Wait.
call.
You're saying that the Mets fans were the Woat?
Yeah. Some like the Mets fans who were just bitching and moaning.
I like that. Yeah, they're the Woat.
Is that your pick, Clem?
The Frank.
No. Mine's Darren. No, mine's James McCann. I think McCann is it's like
McCann's unanimous.
it's unanimous unless you have like the one vote by like Mrs. McCann, and she's like Trevor May. He wasn't very good for a long time this year. And to be fair, Trevor May came through in like the big spots he had to in like the 5th inning when the fucking assholes couldn't get into the into the 6th. So I can't give let's see, rookie of the year. Do we even have like a
Colin Holderman those first few months.
Oh, Colin Holderman.
That's pretty much it.
And he got his Vogie too. So
How about Mets rookie? Like
Mine was Buck's first season.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Buck is good. I think and I would have to give it to Marte, but I would also I would say like there was a period of time where Chris Bassett was really like important. Like a guy that I don't know. Buck.
okay.
Give it to
Buck. Sure. Most surprising. This is tricky because like Guillorme became a legitimate like
No, I got the answer.
picture, but I always loved Guillorme, so it's like I don't know if that was surprising.
I got the answer. The answer here is Edwin Diaz.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
No, I think that's obvious now.
Thought that he was going to be Mariano Rivera. I think we came into the season still like, what do we got?
think he's
That's
pretty
good.
good. We were not expecting that.
Yeah,
so.
at the end of April, we were like, wow, maybe he's good, Diaz. By the end of fucking May and June, we were like, oh my God, he's the fucking one. So I think it's got to go to Edwin.
I had Escobar just because he was literally surprising. You didn't know if you were going to get Escobar that hits 190 or Escobar that hits 400.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
That's a fair point too. What's up next here? Best acquisition. So I guess off season or in season, doesn't matter. I'm going Starling Marte for all the reasons Kev said. I mean,
too, yeah.
I mean, it should have been Max. It was gonna be Max in my mind. I'm a Marte dick rider, but if Max shoved even one of those games, like even if he bounced back against San Diego, I would have been fine. Or if he won the one in Atlanta to give us the division, one of those, it would have been Max. He worth every penny, and he wasn't.
And then the last one here, the last one, Cy Young. I guess Cy Young of the team.
Edwin Diaz.
Edwin Diaz.
Without a doubt. I by the way, 9 earned runs all season. And 3 home runs. So you would assume that one of
that
those
last home run was given up to Juan Soto back in May, by the way. That was the only barrel he gave up this year, I'm pretty sure.
I remember there was
1 home run?
3 home runs, but he 9 earned runs all season. So that's 3 right there, plus if anybody was on base. So him being off was never.
It was never, dude. It was absolutely never. The worst thing that happened was a couple walks, and the inning would be stressful.
I want to say there was a graphic in June or July where it was a split screen between Diaz and Mariano Rivera's best season, and I was like, okay, settle down. This is getting fucking crazy. It had the breakdown of the numbers, and all of his numbers were better than most.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, he was absolutely
and only 32 saves, which is also crazy to think.
Yeah, but that's also different. We used him in different spots and all that kind of shit. But there was no blown saves. There was a mild sweat was as dangerous as it ever got. He was
1.31 ERA.
9 earned runs. He did that in a week in 2019.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
All right, Clem, you got a dip?
I got a dip now, so I'm going to dip. We're going to talk about the 2022 Mets, or 2023 Mets. And if you want to see them in person, they're going to be an awesome team. I promise you. They're going to be an awesome team.
Go to Game Time, get your tickets. The best prices available, the best tickets available, because they have up-to-date technology that allows you to get your the exact ticket you want at the exact price you want. Think about it. You buy some tickets, you want to sell them. You put them up at a high price. Nobody's buying them. All of a sudden, it's 15 minutes to game time. You'd rather get something rather than nothing, right? So you drop the tickets all the way down to $5. That's when Game Time swoops in, lets you know that you can get these tickets for next to nothing. And you can get them to any sort of event you want, whether it's the Hall & Oates concert that Clem missed, whether it's the playoff games we didn't get to see, whether it's the Yankee games that are going to be lost, whether it's your favorite comedian, your favorite band, any sort of live entertainment, Game Time has you covered. It is the best tickets, the best app. Right now, you go to the account, make an account tab, use the promo code BELIEVE. You get $20 off your first purchase to any Game Time event. Download the Game Time app. Use promo code BELIEVE for $20 off. We'll get to 2023 in a second. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Watching the Braves and the Phillies is tough. Ideally, I think I want the Braves to beat the Phillies because I want the Phillies to beat the Braves and then the Dodgers to beat the Phillies. We'll take any sort of combination of the Dodgers winning, but I just need people to understand we need the Yankees to lose.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying a dream scenario is Dodgers versus Astros. But
Dodgers, Astros, yes, and I hope the Astros I hope the Mariners take care of business, to be honest. But realistically, I want the Astros there. As long as the Dodgers, but if it comes down to somehow Philly and Atlanta come out of the NL. I know people like to say it's pathetic. They're not in our division. Why would you root for a division rival over a fake rival? All this shit. If you live in New York and you have any sort of social life, friends, family, job, if you go outside, if you go to bars, if you are just out in public and you're a Mets fan, you need the Yankees to lose. Right now, we have a whole generation of Yankee fans who have not won. We have a whole generation of Yankee fans who are posers, who were like children in 2009, and they kind of claim that title, but deep down in their hearts, they know that they couldn't really fully experience it. They weren't talking about it and talking shit and busting balls and doing podcasts and listening to radio. You watched it with your parents and you went to bed. You have a whole generation of Yankee fans who talk about pinstripes and history and the Bombers, and they have no reason to. They're frauds. They've never won. They've won just as much as the fucking, Marlins fan has. They've won just as much as the Royals or the White Sox, and as far as their life is concerned. One title that you may or may not know. You don't get to talk like you're a fucking dynasty Yankees fan. You don't get to talk like you've won 5 in a row, 4 out of 5, 3-peats. You don't know that life. And we need to keep it that way at all costs, because the minute that they even just get one, and they have a modern title that they can lean on, it's going to be fucking awful. Right now, despite the fact that even the Mets blow it, or the Mets have a bad season, or it's LOL Mets, at the end of the day, 19 of the last 20, it's still been, well, you didn't win either. And at the end of the day, we're all losers, so fuck you. And you guys had more expectations and spent more money, and you got bigger acquisitions and all that shit. If this is finally the year they break through, you lose all of that. You don't have a single bullet to fire anymore. And I don't think people realize how fucking bad that's going to be. Yeah, it's upsetting that like the Braves fans who we fought with all year, if they get to celebrate another title, they just won one though. Were you fucking heartbroken all offseason? Was it a miserable offseason last year? No, it's just that it was the Mets that were right there with them. That's why you hate them. When the Braves won last year, I was like, that sucks, but whatever. If the Phillies win it, you have a couple Philly fans here and there that talk shit and bother you. Fine. If you live in New York and the Yankees win it, everywhere you go for the next offseason and entire regular season until they're not the champs anymore is going to be sickening. It's going to be awful. So get your fucking head out of this. Like, well, no, we have to root against the NL teams and I'll root for the Yankees. No. As always, if you're a true Mets fan, it's root against the Yankees by any means necessary. I
need the Braves to lose though, because this is adding up to be exactly the same as 2009. Because in 2009, it was the Phillies who had just won in 2008, and then they're playing the Yankees, and you're like, I would rather just shoot myself than watch this game. Like that is what it comes down to. But you're 1,000% right, because but it's also this is that moment for the Mets where it's like this is the time where as many other times we said, it's like this is the time to take over the city. We have the biggest owner. We're going to spend. We just won 101 games. If we have all of this going for us, and then the Yankees win, it's set completely. And then you can't talk shit until you finally do win, because there's nothing you can do about it at that point. Because at the end of the day, it's look at the scoreboard and we won again. And
until that happens, like it's exactly that. Like, and until we stop doing some of the dumb antics, the fucking trumpets when you're losing and the silly subway stuff and Timmy trumpets and all that shit, like the Yankee fans will have that. But right now they're coming from a place of fear. They're coming from a place of like, fuck, like Steve Cohen did turn it around real fast. And oh my God,
Judge might go. And we don't know if we could retain
right.
Like it is building up of like, we're finally in a position of power.
Right. Could you imagine they lose Judge and then it's like, holy shit. Right. But they could lose Judge. He could come to the Mets. All of these things could happen. But if they get a ring in the process, nothing else matters. So let's all row together for once, you fucking morons. We couldn't even row together for our own team. Let's row together to be anti-Yankees. All right, 2023 Mets. I got to be honest. I know people make this up to be like Frank is negative, KFC is positive, and they are like against each other. It's never been that way. I'm always a realist. I will always tell you like I feel like it is for this team. I don't know about next year. I really feel like next year we have so many missing pieces. We have so many pieces that might leave and or regress. And then we have moves that we're hopefully going to make with outsiders that have to hit. And that's why looking back at it, we should have gone for broke at the trade deadline, because if DeGrom is a question mark and Max and his ability might be a question mark, you have Cookie, Bassett, and Ty is a question mark. All of the bullpen and Nimmo.
Yep.
I mean, that's the whole team, guys. That's the whole fucking team. That's everybody, except for like a couple guys. So we had a team that was very well balanced, and we won 101 games because everybody did their part and did it well, and nobody carried, nobody overexcelled. It was just like everybody did it, and now everybody's a question mark. So that's fucking terrifying, and I don't know if I can sit here and tell you that like we're gonna be right back in it next year, because
I'll give you the rundown of the list because I put it together and it is eye-opening because it is like
the whole thing
parts of this season.
Basically, the whole
In your guys' mind is like all in, must sign, throw it against the wall until they come back. So we got Brandon Nimmo, he's 30, he had an 8.7 WAR. Jacob deGrom, 35, 7.1 WAR. Chris Bassett, 34. He's going to be looking for a huge contract, 6.3 WAR. Taijuan Walker's 29. Carlos Carrasco's 36. Trevor Williams is only 30. He threw almost 90 innings for us, and he had a 1.8 WAR. Edwin Diaz, 29, 5 WAR. Seth Lugo, 33. Some of these guys you think are older, they're really not. Trevor May, 33.
The WAR numbers you're throwing out aren't accurate, but like,
what do you mean? I got it from MLB this morning.
It may be like career WAR or something because Brandon Nimmo is not worth 8 WAR this year.
8 WAR
Yeah.
Okay, so career.
It may just be career WAR.
Adam Ottavino, 37, 1.6 WAR.
I feel like you have to throw money at DeGrom. We talked about this from a PR point of view. You have to sign DeGrom based on hopefully what he still can do, but almost just preventing against doomsday type shit. And you have to sign Diaz. Diaz has to be fucking.
No, I completely agree because if you can sign whatever player you want. If Jacob deGrom walks, there'll be LOL Mets like
1,000%. It's just from
you can sign Aaron Judge and you'll still get LOL Mets. You let Jacob deGrom walk. Even though
seeing him in another uniform will be, you can't have it. You just can't have it. I always say off the field, and this is kind of both, but like, because obviously you're signing players to play on the field, so it matters on the field. But the off the field perception of like, we don't let our franchise players go. That does not happen to us. We want a guy to be here for life. He's here for life. We don't let him go win somewhere else with his best years, like with his final years. We don't let that, it just doesn't happen. So you have to sign him. Diaz is the one thing we've all wanted for our whole lives. You have to sign him. Bassett, I think, is going to get more money than he deserves. I think he had a really good year, and that was a great job by Epler. Like it should have been, we won or went to or had a World Series run with Bassett. Like we bought low, sell high, like see you later. Who Ty Walker, I think you said was like 30, 38 or something. Who's
33.
He has a player option, but he's gonna decline.
29. Ty Walker's 29.
How old is Cookie then?
36.
Yeah, so that was the surprising age. I didn't realize he was that old.
Ottavino's 37.
Yeah, see, the bullpen I'm okay with. Like, I think, bullpens are going to be year to year minus Diaz. Just throw shit against the wall, go sign a couple guys, plug them in. I mean, in the end, the bullpen was not the problem. Like, right. we laughed about, like, Joely Rodriguez for a while and Michael Givens and Yohan Lopez and shit, but, like, they all just kind of cobbled together and got it done. And so I think you can do that when you have an anchor at the back. And I don't know. I mean, what's Seth Lugo going to command? Like, he's always been here. Maybe just run it back with him again, have him be the eighth inning man. But I wouldn't mind going to get like another fireballer out there who can just blow motherfuckers away. But I don't think you need to really like go crazy over re-signing some of those bullpen guys. Like Ottavino was a guy I didn't trust at one point and then like hit his stride. So if we're going to pay him based on hitting his stride, then I think there's every chance that he goes back to being that guy I don't trust. So, like, let him walk.
Remember, I think when we signed Ottavino, Clem said it was like every other year guy. It's like, well, we got this 1 year. We don't need to see this again. I think it was like $3 million they got Ottavino for, but it's like you can find another Adam Ottavino.
Absolutely.
Finding another Edwin Diaz or Jacob deGrom, you can't find that.
So I say basically let all of the bullpen walk unless they're like as affordable as other arms on the market are. Sign Diaz, sign DeGrom. Nimmo's going to be the interesting one Nimmo is going to command what, like $150 million?
It's so tough because this is also the first year he's stayed completely healthy, and it's like.
But we also learned that he can play like lights
Center
out
field.
center field.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if he gets a Buxton type contract, or I think Joel Sherman tossed out yesterday. It's like he could get double what Marte got, which would be like 150 or something. And I'm like,
that to me feels like a whole fucking lot of money for Brandon.
I don't think he gets that, but you have to remember his agent Scott Boras, and Scott Boras can do wonders.
We also have the luxury of like Marte can play center. Like if it comes down to it, you go put Marte in center, and then you put somebody else and backfill his spot.
What's Marte's contract?
He has like 3 more years, and
we have him until he's like 36. I want to say.
No, but what was his total number? The money?
478, I think it was.
Dude, that is one of the best contracts in the fucking history of sports. As long as he's playing, as long as he keeps up that level of play, that is a unbelievable. The fact that Brandon Nimmo might get twice as much as Starling Marte is a joke. Yep. It's nice because in my mind he plays a very traditional leadoff role, which I don't think there's many of in baseball anymore. Yet, like Schwarber's batting leadoff, and it's not like, but just like a smaller, scrappier on base guy. I do love him. I just don't know without any, like, as we saw, you need power. And I'd rather that $150 million go to like some major bats, and then a guy like Mark Canha could play like leadoff and try to fill that role, or something that's a little more like, we don't.
Or Marte for that matter. Marte could lead off.
Sure.
He's also a high average guy. You have Lindor batting second. Like it's the same exact thing.
Marte, Lindor, Pete.
Right.
Yeah. And if you have a big bat. So who are the non-Mets free agents that like are out there this year? Obviously, Joe.
There's a bunch. So it's kind of like, it's strange now because now we have the DH. So it's like Josh Bell, 30 years old. Like, yes, he plays first base, but he's basically the Dom Smith that we know can hit the baseball. Anthony Rizzo can opt out after this season. I think he's built for a big city, and that he'd be like a good clubhouse guy too. Trey Turner, who could easily move to second, and then you plug Oten McNeil into the outfield. Dansby Swanson, Nolan Arenado. I don't think that's possible.
I don't think he'll opt out, but it's a possibility. He could just want more money.
And even then, it's like they already called up Beatty, and like, are you going to just like set him back or trade him if you can't sign Arenado?
If Nolan Arenado opts out, I'm offering whatever the fuck you want.
So then you just
if we can get Arenado, we're getting Arenado. Let's not be crazy.
Yeah.
If that's a possibility,
Andrew Benintendi, he's 28. Who, like, obviously he's played in Boston and now he's in New York. Trey Mancini, which is a mutual option. Matt Carpenter, I think that they just found like,
they just
we're gonna need a Matt Carpenter type next year though. Like just somebody.
It's not gonna be Matt Carpenter.
He was a guy It was a guy who was out of the league and like no one was giving him a shot, and then he just like balled out for the Yankees.
I'm not saying it's gonna be Matt Carpenter. I'm saying they need a Matt Carpenter type, like literally like.
And it's not Andrew McCutchen either, who's also on this list. JD Martinez, Mitch Haniger, Aaron Judge, obviously.
I mean,
it's not like a huge amount that's going to fill like our needs. But like if you lose Nimmo, theoretically, you could then go get Benintendi for like cheaper, and you're getting a similar type of situation.
Is Trey Turner really going to like leave? Is that like is that
he's not a West Coast guy because I think that's already been reported. But I'm still not buying that he'd move off a shortstop. Like, I don't think he'd go to us to play second base.
It's his position to lose with the Dodgers. Like, he could choose to leave, but like, they're setting him up to be the shortstop.
He's honestly like, the one guy. Every time I was saying Lindor is the best shortstop in baseball, I was always like, man, Trey Turner's pretty fucking good. So for him, it would be. I feel like everything I read was kind of like Dansby Swanson is fucking killing it for the Braves, but he won't be there next year. Like people kind of expected he's going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
I'm not buying that at all.
Yeah. I mean, why would they not? Like, I mean, I would lock that motherfucker.
He's the only one that hasn't gotten that luxury of we're going to extend you.
Well, I don't even call it a luxury when you're on the Braves because they don't fucking give you any money.
That's probably why he's probably like, I'm not getting.
That's what. Yeah, if I was anybody, I'd be like, I'm not signing with the Braves. They don't fucking pay anybody.
Right.
Give them real money.
They still do.
Maybe all that money they've been saving will go to Dansby. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Like, we need a big bomb bat. You need like a monster bat, right? So like Josh Bell is a nice player. Anthony Rizzo, Benintendi, Trey Mancini, like these guys are like, okay, fine, but it's really got to be like a monster. The question is, like, and again, if Arenado somehow is a free agent, he's the guy. Like, I would give him $500 million and then we go home. This is not a debate. But like Aaron Judge, do you give him that money? Is it even is this
possible? Anything's possible.
Like, is it one of these things where it's like, is Aaron Judge really willing to come to the Mets? Like, he would have a whole fucking fan base of New York fans who would loathe him forever versus a new fan base that will love him right away because of the move, but then also will be like, you got to win us over too and win. And then all of a sudden, possibly you have a whole fucking city that doesn't like you because what if he's injured again? What if he doesn't repeat this year? He's not going to repeat this year. He's definitely going to regress. Like, it would be a lot if I was turning 32. Do I want to piss off 60% of New York to go play for the other 40% who they might not even love me either if I don't get it done? I don't know if I'm rocking that boat, but he was been so disrespected and he went and he just fucked them this year with the best season of all time that I hope he like holds them over a barrel to the point that he's got to go somewhere else. And if that is the case, I think Steve goes hammer. I think Steve, if it's like, if the reports are that Judge doesn't want to, or they're far apart or whatever, I think he'll be like, because again, the PR of it, the value that you might get out of him. Maybe he's injured. Maybe he regresses hardcore. Maybe he's fine, but you don't get 62 home runs. But you snatched him from the Yankees. That is priceless. So
I need to stir the pot regardless. Like, I don't care if it's disingenuous. I need you to drive that price as high as humanly possible.
So have a nice dinner. Have a nice dinner with him. Invite him to your house, Steve.
Yeah. Send him on private jets. Like, fly him and his girl to fucking Monaco. Give him artwork, whatever you want, just to fuck them.
And I can say this now that he's becoming a free agent, but like the story of like he's always injured, like we kind of bend that to our will as it fits us because he played in 157 this year, 148 last year with the lost season in 2020, and then he's putting in over 100 games every season. So it's like, yes, he's not playing the whole season, but like he's also not the glass man where you're not going to see him.
Well, I mean, the last two have done a lot too.
Yeah.
But like,
and the longer he plays, the more you're like, hey, dude, like, it's nice that the Yankees played you in center field, but like, go sit on the fucking bench and keep your legs fresh and hit 60 home runs. Like,
but there was several seasons in a row where he was like, missing like 60 games. So yeah. I don't think he's the most durable, but also he went a long way to showing that he can stay healthy when he's on steroids. So as long as he keeps doing the juice, I'm happy with it. But I don't know, like you look at that list and let's say that Judge is not realistic just for like, the Yankees will not let it happen sort of thing. Who is it? Like it's not.
That's the thing.
We also don't know like what the trade market's going to look like either. Like we don't know if Ohtani is seriously available or if the Red Sox can't sign Devers to an extension if he gets shipped off somewhere. It's like
the fact that Ohtani signed a 1-year $30 million deal. Like I don't know if it's a rumor or not that the Mets are like his only team that's on like the no trade clause, but if that's the case.
I saw that and I got excited, but I never quite understood it. So he has the veto power, or they have the veto power everywhere except for the Mets.
He would have the veto power.
The player has the veto power, right?
There's two things that we know about this whole thing. One, Artie Moreno, they're not trading. Artie Moreno's not trading Shohei to Steve Cohen before he sells the game. That's not happening unless the Angels sell first. Second part is Billy Epler does have a very good connection with Ohtani. He's part of the reason why he came to the Angels. So,
right. But like this whole thing about the veto, like he can veto everybody.
Just because
the Mets, like so he's saying like if you guys decide to trade me to the Mets, I won't even put up a fight at all.
Yeah, like, but he check in with me. Go ahead and do it. Everybody else, like he's got to sign off.
Yeah, but I'm just he made that thing in like 2018, so like he could just like not do the veto himself. Like
right, that's what I'm saying. It's like you can as long as you're the player in control. If you can veto 29 other teams and then the 30th is on your list, like that means you can. That's overblown because it's like you either go in there or not. So whether you can veto it, it doesn't really make a difference. So I don't know. The bat that we need is I don't know if it's just straight up available. I think you'll probably have to get more creative. The pitching, is,
pitching is the hard part because we know Cookie's likely going to come back. He'll get his option picked up, and then you got 3 other spots to fill.
You think Cookie's getting picked up?
It's a very cheap option for what.
Okay, so he becomes the 5 guy then, because there's no tolerating him.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying anything like that. Like he's.
So you let's say you got Jake. Let's just say we have, we're operating that we have to sign Jake and we have Max. So you pray you have that 1-2 and they stay healthy. So you got to just fill in that 3-4.
Well, Carlos Rodon can opt out this year. He's 30 years old and easily just pitched the best year of his career.
He's absolutely opting out. So do you just go?
Phil, you're muted.
I'm muted.
No, Phil was.
No. Do you just like? It's almost like if you're not going to go, if Judge or something like that is not happening with the bats, then I think you just go fucking nuts and go for Rodon.
Oh, 100%.
It's like whack-a-mole. I think the timing of the offseason will matter a lot, like which dominoes fall first, because if the big bats somehow stay with the Yankees or aren't available or whatever, and then it's just pitching that's left, I would hope that they just throw all that money.
He feels the need of the fact that we don't have a lefty either. Like, yeah, you could say it's Peterson, but to have a lefty starter and like a top tier guy where like
very valuable.
It's the same thing all over again. Now you're looking at DeGrom, hopefully he's healthy. Scherzer's back to himself. And now we have a lefty who's also top tier rotation. Like, then it's the same team. And then we just need to figure out how to score runs.
Right.
And then the other thing with that is they were talking about in the preseason or in the post now season for us is that they're going all in on Diaz, not even wanting him to get to free agency. They're like, hey, we're hitting you up. Like, we're getting this done before the World Series is over. We can announce it after, whatever the fuck. But like, you're not getting into free agency if we have anything to say about it.
It would be crazy to not just test the waters unless you're like.
He flat out said too. He was like, I hope they come to me quick, but also I'm taking the best deal for my family. I'm like 100% more power to you. But like, then you have to wow him to the point where he's like, I'm set for 3 generations.
Yeah. I mean, unless like that number, what's like the biggest, I think he should get the biggest reliever contract of all time.
Passing a bunch of other guys projecting like 5 years over 100 million or like 5 years.
How old is he? He's 28.
29 next year.
He's pitching like this, and arguably, if he is like a Mariano type, could do this for like 10 more years. Yeah. I would give this guy fucking 30 million a year. Like this guy could potentially be the most valuable piece for this entire, God willing, like championship, dynasty dream run.
Craig Kimbrell got 3 years, 43 million.
But what did Hendricks got like a good deal too, I think. I think he was the other highest guy.
What did
Jansen's contract? He got 1 year, 16 million. So like, I don't know. Is he looking at average annual salary?
It may just be AAV. I think everyone's predicting Edwin Diaz got like 18 to 20 million.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, that's fair. And like, if he's the guy that I saw when he was with the Mariners, that's the guy who we got this season. And like, he was that good that year, and he's that good this year. It's like, how much time has passed between then?
So I'm looking back
of the live balls blowing up his ERA in his career, and now they're back to normal, and now he's fucking shoving again.
If you look back to 2016 was when Chapman signed. So Mark Melancon signed back then, 4 years, 62. So what that's like 15 million-ish, whatever, I don't know. And then Chapman signed for 5 years, 86. Yeah, so like 5 years, 100, like.
Yeah.
To give him peace of mind in the 8th or 9th inning whenever they want to pitch him.
Bro, I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding. I would give if you could tell me that he's gonna like pitch this way, like magic ball, I would give him 200 million over 10. I'm not even kidding. To know that like you'd have that forever. If I had a magic genie, one of my wishes would be that Diaz pitches that way for the rest of his career. And if that was the case, I would give him 20, 25 a year for a decade. It's that valuable to know that the game's just fucking over.
What's an acceptable payroll for the 2023 Mets to have?
That I don't know, because me and Clem growing up in our age and Kyle to an extent too, like, like a $200 million payroll used to be like, we made fun of the Yankees. Like, dude, they cracked 200 and they couldn't win. And now like 300 seems to be the new 200. And it seems to be that if you're really going for it, you're going to hit 4. Like, that's fucking insane.
I think bare minimum, we got to have like 350. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
What are we at right now? Like
I
3?
think we had like close to 300 this year.
I think it was like 314 when it was adjusted. We ended up with the highest.
So
Yeah.
if you take off a couple guys and dip down to like 3 flat, but then you add a few at like a total of 50 million for that year, 350 makes about right. Like sounds about right.
I posted the likely arbitration numbers too, and it's like Pete's gonna make like 15 million next year. Jeff McNeil's gonna make 6 million. Like we still have these really, really good guys on fucking cents on the dollar, and it's like
you got to
start looking at it at signing them up long term too. And it's like if that's the case, then we might need to like figure some shit out with backloading. Because if you want to lock them up long term now, better be a sweetheart deal if we're gonna bring back Diaz and DeGrom.
I would have given anything to watch Steve Cohen operate with that rotation in 2015 when you had 5 legitimate pitchers, a couple of which were real aces, all total for like $2.5 million. And he could have had 250 million other to spend on bats. And then Wilpons just didn't do it. If Steve Cohen ran that team, I think we would have won fucking 5 championships in a row because he would have just bought all of the bats necessary to load up around those guys. So like, let's learn our lesson. When you've got good, cheap guys on their first deals, now is the time to do it because you can't, eventually you're going to have to hit some sort of, the Cohen tax will eventually come into play. How was it? Did you talk baseball with Hall & Oates?
I talked to him. He said out of all the sports, baseball is his least favorite. He likes more of the action sports. He was a wrestler. He played football. He also said his dad was like a big baseball guy in New York. When they moved to Pennsylvania, he would like play like semi-pro kind of stuff. And he said, however, when he was a kid playing baseball, he had the glove was like, he had like a lefty glove, even though he was a righty. And he's like, kind of never got baseball because of that. And then he got hit in the eye, like by a pitch when he was 8 years old. And I was like, yeah, that's your origin story, becoming a rock star, dude.
Yeah,
Thank God for that glove and for that kid hitting you in the eye because you don't have to care about this dumb ass sport. But he's not a Phillies fan from what I could gather. So that was the biggest thing, but nothing. I said I might go to Germany to watch him play live. So if I go, maybe I'll go to Germany and that will get this little Cosmo thing into motion that I feel like I was meant to be there for. Delightful guy though. And he said, Bob, he goes, that was a really good interview. He said that, Robbie. So fucking Bob Fox just fucking crushing life. I apologize for missing that. So do we do our free agents, the upcoming free agents, a little bit of both?
Yeah, we did it all. We kind of said, that we need to go get a big bat, but like, who is it really going to be? Is it realistically really going to be Aaron Judge? Like, do we really think the Yankees are going to let that happen? And do we really think Aaron Judge would take that risk, alienating all the New York fans and blah, blah, blah? So if it's not him, like, who is it? Because other than that, it's like, unless Arenado opts out somehow, which, if that happens, then obviously you just give him whatever the fuck he wants. But other than that, some of these bats are like Josh Bell and Trey Mancini. It's like the trade deadline all over again, where it's like, okay, but it's not anything that puts you over the top. So then do you just throw the money at like Rodon and go get major pitching? But this is the problem, man. This is why this year hurts so bad, because it was just like it ordinarily it takes years and years, and then you go, oh, it finally clicked and everybody worked, like everyone was firing on all cylinders. It just happened to happen for us right away. So like we missed the year without realizing it was the year until it was too late, because how the fuck are you going to get all of this production from everybody all over again? Because everybody produced. Like when we did the Woat, everybody had like the same 1 or 2 bad guys, and that was it. There was nobody else on the team that was either bad or unlikable.
Our like Woats in like 2015 would have been guys who were batting cleanup for us at one point, right? It's like, it's crazy to think about just how much things have changed, which is why I'm going to try to bring the positivity. Guys, we're still not used to Uncle Stevie. You're still not used to the Cohen world. This time last year, this episode we did last year, which, by the way, for anyone who wants to know, I think we're going to this will be the last episode of the season. If anything crazy happens, either good, we don't have to hire a manager. If we get Stearns, I think we do an emergency pod. If we sign anyone big, we make a big trade, emergency pod on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. But other than that, this will probably be the last, episode for the season. But Starling Marte was not on our radar. Max Scherzer, we didn't even say his fucking name of the podcast. Right. And the other thing of this all is, I don't know how many people are out there, but there are guys who are like kind of the Nolan Arenados, where it's like, this guy's awesome. He doesn't want to be on the team anymore. He makes a shitload of money, and there's like 5 teams in baseball that can afford him. We're one of those 5 teams, and we're one of those 5 teams that has to make it up to the fan base. Uncle Stevie knows he has to fucking make this year up to us right now. So I do think that listen, there could be a guy like that
available. If Arenado becomes available, and there's, let's say, like, it's not like Arenado's like, I have to live on, I don't live on the East Coast because of my family. Like, if there's nothing that precludes him from signing with us, you have to sign him. He fits everything. You have to sign him if he's possible. I didn't even consider that in the realm of possibility because I didn't think
if you're listening, opt out. Like, that's all you have to do. It's his choice. Opt out. Albert Pujols was batting second on your team, even though he's about to retire. Like, you're not going anywhere in St. Louis. Opt out. And then we have Brett Beatty as a trade piece, a trade chip to go get somebody else great on the team to come in with you.
Right. I mean, I just thought that the Cardinals are one of those franchises that wouldn't let it happen. But if it can happen and does happen, give him $350 million. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah. Is there anyone out there, Phil, that would be like an Arenado that might get traded from a team that just has a bloated contract?
I said not bloated contract, but like Devers. Like, we don't know what the Red Sox are doing.
Yeah.
It's like, are they going to pay Devers what he's worth? Or
but the problem, we all want Ohtani, but we know Artie Moreno's not doing business with us.
Yep, that's an issue.
The Cohen shit kind of bites us in the ass a little bit. But, there are some names out there. It's just none of them are like a real like lock, and that's all assuming that like we kind of hold serve and we do sign DeGrom and do sign,
I need them to sign DeGrom just for my mental health. I don't even care about his numbers. I just, if it's to the team down south, that's the worst case scenario. But if it's to like a LA or Texas, whatever the fuck it is that everyone's saying online, I can live with that a lot more than the Bravos. But it's like at this point, I saw did you guys see the report that they might sign Diaz as soon as they before?
Yeah, Mike Mayer said they're trying to get it done before free agency.
Yeah. Why would you not? I'd be like, thank you so much, but like, we're gonna see what the open market says because
unless it's like an absurd
number. Go crazy, and it's like maybe the open market would never even touch this. Like, that would be, I think that would be a very cool. I know this might not sound business savvy, but I think it kind of is in the long run. Maybe this is just like I'm playing fantasy sports here, and that's not how it works. But if we find out that Steve Cohen paid Edwin Diaz a ridiculous sum of money without even bidding, there was nobody else bidding against him. He just did it because it's the right thing to do. I think that would signal like everything I've ever wanted to hear from an owner. Like, if we give Diaz $100 million when we don't even know if there's anybody out there willing to go over 85. But Cohen says, fuck it, you're worth it to me. I don't care what everybody else says. It would be like, yes, this dude, like, it signals to the fans and every other free agent, like, this guy pays you what you're worth no matter fucking what. He doesn't, we don't even need to worry about bidding, bid wars, whatever. Like, you just get your money because he has it. That would be unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know how this could work. I don't know if this is against the CBA or whatever. Give him points on like fucking trumpet sales in the stadium, right? Every trumpet sold goes right to Edwin Diaz's fucking pocket. No questions asked.
So, it's funny. One of the best interviews I ever did was with Sirius XM. I interviewed Faye Vincent, the old commissioner. And he told me the story about, Michael Weiner. I think it was Michael Weiner. Was the players union rep before Tony Clark. Died suddenly, I think like an aneurysm or something like really like tragic, boom, out of nowhere. And he was like, he said, Faye Vincent was like the smartest guy you ever met in the world of baseball and was like right on the verge of getting a deal done where players would get like points of ownership of the franchise. You would get part of your jersey sales. You would get something like that. You would like, you would not like own the team, but you would own parts of like the league almost. And out of nowhere, he died. Tony Clark took over, and Faye was like, Tony's a good guy, but like he's not like this genius the way this guy was. Mm-hmm. So like baseball was like right on the verge of something like that, which I think would have like solved all their fucking problems because like you'd be making money in other ways and it wouldn't just be owners cutting huge checks of guaranteed money. and it all fell apart randomly. So like in another fucking in the multiverse somewhere, there's a time variant where that all happened, and Edwin Diaz is making $100 million just on t-shirts alone. But I think if they just locked him up, like you don't even get to touch our guys, that would be.
Do we all have Jake number 1 in terms of like on the wish list, or does Edwin trump him?
I think like production wise it will be Edwin, but I think like PR wise it's got to be Jake.
Yeah, I feel like the same too. Again, because I like God, the fact the Braves have all these guys on like the cheap too. They can just afford to just make a splash. I think for somebody. I don't know if they go after Diaz, but it's just like I just hate those motherfuckers so goddamn much. So goddamn.
We were saying Dansby is coming due too, so we were like, hopefully that's where all their money has to go if they want to keep him around.
Yeah.
Diaz though, if you're going to give him that huge of a contract, and I'm on board with it, just ask him to backload it a little bit so that we have the payroll that we need for every season to make sure we can go get these other guys to actually win right now.
Yeah, that's something that the Knicks are doing now. Leon Roseway structures the contracts. It's like team friendly in terms of the way it's all loaded. And I would think
the Nationals where like that fucking guy would be like, hey, I'm going to give you $200 million, but 180 of that is before I can trade you down the line. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I have enough Bobby Bonilla fucking day tweets in my life. I don't need like that from, Cano is going to be the next one whenever that vests. How many more years we got of him?
Only next year.
Only next year? Oh, God, that's such a win. I don't know if you guys saw that The Athletic, Mark Carrick tweeted out this morning. Tim Britton did a thing like kind of just, if whoever has The Athletic, kind of like this is what the team is like no matter what basically in terms of contracts. And then this is if the arbitration guys come in. And then once you start throwing in all the pieces, I mean, we're going to be a ton of money. But again, this is Uncle Stevie world. Let all the fucking noise. You're going to see all the tweets and all the reports from especially people in New York talking about the payroll. Woe is me. What bleeds leads. If it bleeds, it leads. Don't fucking freak out. Don't go panic city on this right now. We're going to be fucking fine. Steve's wallet, the smart people Steve has there, the infrastructure. This team just didn't get good overnight because everyone just got good by fucking coincidence. There's a reason this shit was better. I promise you, Kevin. I promise you. I'm your fucking sponsor, and I promise you.
I know. You're my sponsor, and I hope you're right. I just, like, if put it this way. If somehow we're in the same realm of success next year, with all new faces, a few walk, a few sign, we get the guys back that we want, blah, blah, blah. I'm ready to call Epler like GM of the fucking century then, because there's so many pieces that are either going to walk or get paid, and he's got to decide who's worth it and who's not. He's got to make all the right calls on who's worth it and not in-house, all the right calls on who's worth it and not out on the free agent market, all the right moves to trade. And if it all still works and we get 96 wins again, then I tip my cap, and Epler is unbelievable. I just think it's most likely going to be like, well, and sometimes, by the way, it's just the who's available and who's not. That's why, like, if it's not Aaron Judge or Arenado, maybe it's nobody. Maybe we need to wait till 2024 to get our bat that we need. And so sometimes it's more of just a waiting game. And you can't do anything about that. You can't fucking fast forward time. So it's like, all right, let's, next we're going to go from 101. We're going to go down to like 88. But then next year we're going to get this guy and that guy. And this guy comes up from the farm. So we're actually going for 2024, whatever, So
we didn't touch on this, but like we got nothing from our catchers this year. Francisco Alvarez will likely outperform whatever our catchers did with April alone. So
the summer of Alvarez is coming, boys.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That will be
cool. God.
Yeah, but
every time I see him, I just see him striking out with the bat flying out of his hands.
No, hold on to the bat, dude. It's just, I just to everybody who watched and listened and did the live streams with us and rode. And this team was different. 96ers knew what they had in front of them and enjoyed it and appreciated it. Like, shout out to you. To everybody else, if you didn't enjoy this year when everything clicked, get ready for next year where there's a strong chance that you don't just get lucky on everybody. Like I would like to talk to those people now. Be like, so you think that like this year was so like not that great that you expect it to just happen again with all these free agents and everything that's got to happen. You just expect it again? Because if you don't, then you should have realized it in real time and fucking enjoyed it. If you do, then more power to you. I think then all of a sudden you become more optimistic than I do. If you think that next year is just going to be like, oh, we're going to do it again, because there's a lot of decisions to make. And unless you hit on all of them, it's gonna be tough to go 1-on-1 again.
October 13th,
1-on-1.
October 13th, 2022. Are the 96ers riding?
It's minimum 96. I honestly thought I was gonna have to go to 106ers, and granted, I forgot about all the free agents we got when I started thinking that. 96ers are locked and loaded. Tell Wesley to get the number up on the board. If he wants to, even go 98ers, I'll do that too. But I think we have a nice little brand here with 96ers. 96ers and
Clem, you don't know you don't even know who's gonna be on the team.
I do not care. I know who
Trusted
the owner
one
is.
man.
I know who the owner is. That's it. If you tell me Steve Cohen's not the owner, then I change my tune.
Okay.
I do not care. Like you said, Kev, the other thing he has to do is he has to fix all the bullshit. He has to fix Mr. Met fucking shaking his ass as the Mets are getting Joe Musgrove is motherfucking us up the ass.
Wait, let me do this. I mean this seriously. This is my open call to anyone in the Cohen family, anyone in the Mets organization. I'll do it pro bono. Let me be your PR consultant. I don't want to mess with anybody who's getting paid. I'm not anybody who does the PR and marketing, all that. You guys can do your thing. Just bring me in quarterly for some assessments. And you don't even have to do what I say. I am by no means a decision maker. You just throw ideas off of me, and I will tell you how the internet will react. I will tell you how bad it will be if you do the trumpets in the middle of a playoff game when you're losing. I will tell you how bad your timing is to load up all your marketing at the very beginning of the playoffs when we're limping into the finish line. I will tell you what DJs to have and not have in the building. And I will tell you all of this based on everything I know on the internet, how it's going to react and what's going to be good and bad, because we've been making that decision for the last fucking 2 decades. Please, I will do it for free. I will do it for the good of the franchise. I will just let you know what ideas are good and what ideas are bad, or what were good ideas but now are bad ideas because they're not performing well or whatever, and we can pivot and we can turn, and I'll do it all for free. So please, get in contact with me.
There you go. Your boy KFC. What email should we have? We Gotta Believe podcast, whatever the fuck it is. I don't even know.
Contact me directly on social media. You got me. KFC Barstool. We'll put this out there. Reach out. Make it happen.
And if it's true, I wasn't there. If it's true that there was a DJ who played We Are the Champions during the game at some point, worst case, fire him, never again. Can be a DJ at Citi Field. At best, bath of acid. One or the other. Dead or fired.
He was playing those songs. He was playing the every time there was 3 balls. There was so many weird things going on. The trumpets, that weird noise for every 3-ball count, the bad song. They hired an in-house DJ for our one playoff game that we won, our one playoff series. What? What idea is that?
I have a great idea. Get us an organist, because no one hates a Dodgers organist. No one hates a Braves organist.
Or you got to have a guy who's been with you all year and has a feel for the team and knows everything, and not just some dude who's like, oh, I'm here to party. Let's get the crowd going. No, motherfucker.
And I have an idea, and I want to run it by you guys. And it's nothing. It's not concrete, but it's something I thought of. And I don't like it, which makes me think it might be the right thing to do. There was a time where there was a laughingstock of a football team. And that laughingstock hired a fucking great fucking coach who had never won the big one on his own, and got lucky, a couple little things, right quarterback fell to them. The coach actually left, came back, whatever it may be. But they changed their logo at one point. The New England Patriots changed their logo. I don't know. Do we have to change this fucking logo or go by something else and just wipe away? That is the way to get rid of the last piece of juju. I love the tradition of the New York Metropolitans. I love the NY. I love the Mets. I love the fucking skyline in the background. But after this year, I'm starting to think maybe after the 3 to 5 year window, that's when we change it. But something has to be done at the core to get rid of this fucking curse. Kevin came and jumped off a bridge.
You got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, if you're willing to jump off bridges and come, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I guess it's if we're trying to just come up with something new, but I've always said I love the 1987 script that was one and done. But the Mets logo is never something that I'm super I love it. I'm I put that on all my merch. I love that, the weird baseball thing. I could get down with this. I don't have any deep rooted connection to that.
The only issue is this then opens us up to somebody who then has to, redesign a logo, potentially.
Well, but then
and then they're going to be doing all the shit. They have to pass through you first.
You got to come to like Barstool to fucking design it. Like, it's got to be cool. It's got to be sleek. Or what we should do is abandon, like, just do the NY. Like, the NY's on everything. We don't even have the fucking weird baseball thing. Like, it's just, like, we need to. I don't hate this idea, though.
Again, I'm workshopping it. There's a lot of things that have to go down, but I feel like there has to be a change at the core here, because I can't if we just keep winning 100, if 100-win seasons become the norm, but we do the Dodgers exits in the playoffs, I'm going to lose my mind at some. I don't have, because the Dodgers fans, at least they had 88, I guess 86 isn't that much earlier, but they had some success. Well, they also don't get clowned. Everyone else gets fucking like who was it? The Cardinals, right? The Cardinals, obviously, they have their titles, but they lost to the Phillies and they got swept by the Phillies. There wasn't a peep about it, but it was LOL Mets after 101 fucking wins. It's crazy.
And that's why I'll go to my grave. Like, people deny it. Like, nobody cares about the Mets. What are you talking about? We just like to laugh at you. Whether you realize it or not, whether it's conscious or subconscious, deep down, people love to talk about the Mets and hate on the Mets and relish in their misery, because everybody else, like, nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares.
Blue Jays blew an 8-1 lead on Saturday to end their season.
Nobody cares about the Blue Jays. Nobody cares about the Brewers. Nobody cares about the Cardinals. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The Mets, LOL Mets, this franchise they can't do it, blah, blah. It's that's why it's going to be all the more sweeter when we finally do it. But in order to get there, we do need to do something drastic. Hey, we're living in the future. Maybe we just go full Mercury Mets.
Yes, fuck it.
Black and white Mercury Mets. Let's go.
I think I'm in for that. I think I'm in. Either that, I was going to say, or we get the 7 line. Darren can like get some shit together and we can kind of just workshop like a new Mets, the whole new Mets franchise from the ground up.
It's just like an M, like a M for Mets. Like, you can do, you don't have to do anything drastic. Don't have to change the name or anything, but like, or you know what the logo should be? Mr. Met's head. It should be like a throwback Mr. Met.
We're going to like take over the Indians job.
Yeah.
We're just going to throw Mr. Met on there.
If it was I guess that's more embracing the history than not. But like the Mr. Met we had with the middle fingers was like a cool drawing of it. If you do like a cool sketch of a throwback classic Mr. Met, like a little baseball guy, I think would be cooler than that weird.
They put that on their spring training.
Yeah, their spring training. I remember that. Yeah.
It's official. I love it. Like, Mr. Met. Fuck yeah.
I thought you were going completely off the rails and being like, "Yo, throw Chief Wahoo on the fucking hat."
People love
bad boys of baseball.
That would be wild if we did.
When you have like a living thing that is like a little guy. The Fanatic or the Mr. Met, or there's a few guys out there who you like really know their mascot. Like, he's our dude. He's our guy. He's the best fucking little baseball logo out there. He
didn't deserve to be out there shaking his ass for the trumpets. He didn't want to be out there.
No, he was told what to do.
He's just following orders.
I don't know. I said it last episode. I don't know how much he gets paid, but I'd be tossing that hat off my head and saying, "Fuck that! I'm not going out there. I'm liable to get killed."
Right. So,
I'm sure whoever is Mr. Met at this point has been like vetted, and he's like Manchurian candidated, where it's like there's like he's been hypnotized. Like he will not be able to throw the finger. He won't be able to take the hat off. There's just no way. They have that guy on fucking lockdown. Yeah. Right. Again, so free agency, trades, any of that stuff breaks. Stearns. Do we think Stearns is coming? Yes or no? Just one word answer. Yes or no?
I'm hearing no.
I don't know.
I don't care. I think it's like Epler's fine. Whatever.
That wasn't what I was hoping to hear, fellas. But
I saw that it's his run of house. Epler's show to run. Sandy's going to be gone, and it's just going to be the Billy show until it's not.
That's fine. I don't even get why we would need Stearns after having Epler. Unless Stearns is that much better, but I never even understood in the first place. I don't think it matters.
Fair enough.
Make sure to subscribe, put on your notifications in case we do any emergency episodes, because they will be one at least.
If you watched anything, even just once this year, just log in one time on YouTube and subscribe for us. So
just your Gmail. That's all you need. You don't even need a YouTube login.
Yeah, just use your Gmail. You're fine. Thank you to everybody who watched and was rational and knew what we were witnessing. Fuck everybody who was the opposite of that. You bring this franchise down and you make the team worse. And the sooner you realize that and stop, the better off we will all be. Everybody root against the Yankees, no matter what's on the other side. And you gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
I believe.
Gotta believe.